got a penalty for cutting the course. Car on your left.
Well everyone, how's it going? Hope you're all keeping well and welcome back to a new video here for the RTA IndyCar series, this time at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car course. As you can see here in qualifying, not getting the best start, and now you're just seeing how hard it can be to just get out of the way of traffic just in qualifying here, so says a bit about what it's going to be like trying to overtake in the race. But taking a quick look at the standings after round 4 in Daytona, wasn't the best round by myself, dropping a few places down into 14th, and of course getting that 15-point penalty for a collision in race 2. But we're here in qualifying now at Mid-Ohio, a track I haven't really driven before this. So into turn 1, a corner which you want to carry a lot of speed, but you do understeer a lot. It's important to get the line right so you can get on the power up the hill into the keyhole of turn 2, a hairpin which you can take a few different lines, but there's some of them where you get a lot of understeer, and it's important to get a good exit as you head down the longest straight through the kink of turn 3 and into the heavy braking zone of turn 4. Probably the best overtaking place on the track, as now into turn 5, up the hill over the crest and then dropping back down into turn 6 before heading into the S's of 7 and 8. A very challenging part of the track which you have to get the line perfectly right to keep it flat out before into turn 9, my weakest corner on the track I would say, heading then into Thunder Valley through the kink of turn 10 flat out before throwing it into 11 and into the final carousel section of the track. Then the car go out wide and then come back in for a late apex, getting on the power through the final corner flat out and across the line, and that is a lap around the Mid-Ohio Sports Car course. So a short track but very challenging, and you have to get every part of it right. We did go to improve on that previous lap. We get off track just on the exit of the final corner, and after that then went back to the pits, and this is our final lap of the qualifying session. So through turn 1 then, getting the line very nicely there and getting on the power really well, and we're about 2/10 up heading into the keyhole. Want to brake nice and late here, get the line right. Going out a bit wide to get on the power nice and early, but on the exit just getting on the power a bit too much, going for a spin, and that is qualifying over. So we will start race 1 from 14th place, about 2 seconds behind Ronald Doherty, who was on pole by just under half a tenth from Dylan McClellan. So the two title challengers very close at the front of the grid here for race 1 in Mid-Ohio. Getting ready to go green here then for the first time in round 5, and a tricky track to get started on just with how tight and technical the last section of the track is. As we go green on the outside line, don't get the best jump, and Gary Corcoran on the inside manages to get past us into turn 1. Through that first turn then, there's a few cars out on the grass. We go 3 wide, it ended up being 4 wide, and that was Dylan McClellan's off the track, coming back in and making contact with, I think it was Evan Walsh on my right hand side, and we are very lucky to just get a bit of damage on the left hand side there. We jump ahead a bit further onto lap 1, down Thunder Valley into turn 11. I have a bit of a slide and Dylan runs into the back of me there, sends me off the track into the barriers and end up getting rear wing damage, so going to have to go into the pits and get that repaired. Looking at a few replays here now, this is Dylan McClellan's, just runs wide out of turn 1, tries to get back onto the track safely, but just so bumpy that he bounces into Evan, who's sent flying, and is Evans on board. And yeah, I was very lucky there to avoid that unscathed, but unfortunately wasn't able to avoid it this time. Just my lower speed than Dylan was expecting. He runs into the back of me, which isn't really an excuse for the incident, but it is what it is, and we move on. Nothing else really happened in this race. We managed to catch up with, that was Andrew Murphy, but then went off the track trying to push a bit much, and eventually we come across the line to finish race 1. So we finished in P16 in the end, a minute off Ronan, who won the race ahead of Jason Smith. And yeah, there's not really too much to say about this one. I feel like my pace wasn't terrible, and if had it had a few cars around, maybe could have had a few battles, and I think there was definitely a chance for a better result in this one. So have to try and use that now and try and get a good result in race 2. We start again on the inside line for race 2, and hopefully we get a better start than the previous one. A bit more experience now. And the green comes earlier than I was expecting, mainly because we're a bit further back in the grid than it was in race 1. But don't know if we lost any places. We might have, I'm not too sure honestly. But through turn 1, everybody seems to have made it through safely on this occasion, taking it nice and easily into the keyhole. Dylan ends up, I think he kind of got pushed onto the grass a bit, locked up, and I had to take avoiding action then. I didn't know where his car was going. On the exit of turn 2, getting on the grass as well, and that allows Emma Dempsey to get past. So not the best opening lap once again here at Mid-Ohio. As we skip ahead further onto lap 1, Emma seems to be having a bit of an issue. Now we go down the inside of turn 1, side by side on the exit, but then there's a car, I think that's Wayne Douglas, going slowly, and Emma had to back out of that because there wasn't enough room for us to fit side by side while also getting past the slow moving car of Douglas into Scott Dixon PNC Bank Honda machine. Yeah, end of lap 1 now, starting lap 2. We're in 16th place, so managed to be into position where we started on the exit of turn 1, getting the run on Simon Hutchins, braking later down the inside of the keyhole and moving up another place, as there's a good bit of battling up ahead, so hopefully we can try and get involved in that. And at the end of lap 2, starting lap 3, we are right on the back of that train. Through turn 1, don't get the best run, but still seem to get a bit of a better one than Jamal. We're not able to challenge into turn 2, but he locks up a bit, and yeah, I had to go a bit wide there because I wasn't sure if he was going to end up running out wide. So don't get the best run through the keyhole. We get a good exit through the kink of turn 3, running down the straight now into turn 4. Pulling to the inside early, braking late, and then just easing off the brake, letting the car roll into the corner and getting that move done. So being a bit aggressive here, but I feel like I have a bit of an alright pace this week. I want to try and make the most of it. And then we skip ahead to lap 4 on the exit of turn 9. Gary getting a big slide, and we manage to pull alongside and get down the inside of turn 11 into the carousel, and now I'm going to try and pull away and get onto the back of Tony Stack up ahead. Midway through lap 8 now, and that is exactly what we've done on the back of Tony. Through turns 5 and now into 6, we are very close. I felt like I was catching Tony a lot through those few corners. Like I mentioned in qualifying, this corner here, turn 9, probably my weakest on the track, and I just lose a couple of tenths there, which is unfortunate, but now I know that if I want to get a move done, I really have to nail that section of the track, because even into the carousel here now, Tony goes a bit wide, we get a good run, but with the wider line he gets a good exit onto the pit straight, and we're too far back to get a move into the first corner. Try and get a good run through here, which we don't really, me and Tony both going a bit wider than ideal, so we can't get a run up the hill and make a move into the hairpin. But we can try and set up a good exit, which we are doing now, try and get on the power nice and early, and we are a lot closer to the back of Tony than we were on the exit of that turn. He's using push to pass, I'm using push to pass, no one's really gaining anything, getting a bit of a slipstream, but not able to gain enough to get alongside into turn 4, and having a bit of a look around the outside of turn 5, but don't have the grip or the speed there, not carrying enough speed to get alongside to send it down the inside of turn 6 on this occasion. Now on lap 7, Tony doesn't get the best run through turn 1, but once again we're not close enough to get a move. but into the keyhole we brake very nicely. Tony locks up a bit, goes wide, and we get down the inside. Well, I hadn't actually noticed that Jason Smith, who was up near the front, had some kind of an issue, was then behind us, and now he is right up behind the back of us again. Just about 3 wide into turn 4, but with the inside line we managed to hold it. Jason goes for a move around the outside of turn 5 and goes for it down the inside of 6, but he goes a bit wide, hits my rear right wheel and sends me off the track. So losing a couple of positions there unfortunately, and looking at a replay you can see Jason goes down, and yeah, he was a bit wide of the apex. You can see here in slow-mo when we made contact there was definitely a car's width for him to go through there, but he had a bit of front wing damage and had a bit of understeer. So unfortunate incident there. We managed to get onto the back of Gary Corcoran once again, who had an issue in the final part of the lap, and then through turn 1 again understeer and into the keyhole. We're going to brake nice and late, try and go around the outside, not able to do it this time, to get a good exit with the push to pass and the slipstream. Better exit through the kink. We have a look to the inside, Gary covers it, we then go to the outside into turn 4, braking really late, later than Gary, carrying the speed around the outside, and if I do say so myself, very nice move there for P13. We then caught back up to Jason, who is having a bit of a battle with Evan Walsh, who is a lap down, so Evan having a bit of fun with Jason and not making it too easy for him. Jason then gets past and Evan lets me pass. At this point I was still humming and hawing about whether I would report that incident with Jason, and my thinking was that if he was to let me pass and have this position, then I definitely would not report it. Which you can see here now as we fast forward, he's not going to let me pass, he's not making it too easy, and even with the damage that he has at this point, I didn't know that he had damage, still very hard to try and overtake around here. We're on the final lap here now. Jason has a bit of a lock up in the keyhole, but unfortunately not enough room to get a switchback move onto the straight. And then as we come to the end of the last lap, still behind Jason, and we're going to cross the line to finish somehow in P11.
That's the finish. Well done.
So somehow it was 11th then, a good bit behind Ronan Doherty, who won the race, and in the end I decided not to report that incident with Jason. I felt like it was more so his fault, but still kind of a racing incident, and in the end Jason was reported for a different incident, and if I had reported mine he probably would have got a penalty, and that would have led to him being banned for the next race. So don't want to see anybody missing out on races for little incidents like that, so glad that I didn't report that. But we move on, hopefully we can have a better final race here at Mid-Ohio. So starting this one from the inside line this time, and something you're not going to really know what it's like this way, but we back up and then we're going very early, and yeah, just like last week in Daytona, some cars not really reacting to it too quickly, and that meant that I didn't get the greatest run, losing a couple of positions. I think that was Jason off in the grass on the exit of turn 1, so I didn't report the incident in the last race, so maybe a little bit of karma there. But we move up position there, but I'm sure that if he can get going he will be right on the back of us fairly quickly. Through the keyhole, don't get the greatest run, but luckily we're not coming under any pressure, and it all remains pretty much status quo for the rest of lap 1. Starting lap 2 then on the exit of turn 1, we're right behind Wayne Douglas. Not close enough really to have a dive into turn 2, and not able to get the exit on this occasion to make a move down the straight. But we jump forward a little bit on lap 2 then. Up ahead, David Ward coming back onto the track, and then into the next corner, makes contact with Wayne. I have to go off the grass to avoid it, as does Kevin Joyce behind me. I'm taking care coming back onto the track, and through turn 9 then I just get drove into by Evan Walsh. At this point I thought I was after losing my rear wing again, but luckily
Wheel damage.
just a bit of wheel damage and midsection damage, so I decide not going to come into the pits, just going to deal with it and hopefully it doesn't affect my pace too much. Looking at a replay here now, you can see Kevin coming back onto the track, and yeah, there was a little gap there to my inside, but there wasn't an IndyCar's width of a gap, and Evan tried to put his car there, and yeah, he ended up on his roof and I ended up with a good bit of damage. After that incident I was a bit worried, was my rejoin a bit dangerous, but looking at the replay I feel like if anyone's was to be questioned, Kevin's was a bit worse than mine, so made me feel a bit better about the whole thing. We jump ahead now, lap 5, just about 3/4 of the race still left to go, and we are behind Emma Dempsey, who we seem to always find ourselves near in these races and having some kind of a fight. As we fast forward here now, you can see just even if you have a bit of a pace advantage, it's so hard to get a move done. As out of turn 9 through the kink of turn 10, Simon went off the track there, Emma gets past, I'm not able to, and get a bit held up into the carousel. Simon ends up going wide then, and we get past nice and quickly, not losing too much time, and we can set our sights back on Emma. Heading up to turn 2, Gary Corcoran having a bit of an issue on the left hand side, moving up another place for us, and out of the keyhole. He's trying to set up a good exit, which we do. On the push to pass, you can see in the top left Emma wasn't using her boost. We get the inside line and we were starting to pull up clear even before the braking zone of turn 4, and we get that move done. And as we crest over the hill here, I can see that there's a group of cars up ahead fighting, so I want to try and close into those, which I've managed to do behind Tony Stack now, who has fallen off that group a little bit over the last couple of laps. So I want to try and get past Tony nice and quickly so we can try and catch back up to that other group. Up into the keyhole, closing in nicely. Tony has a bit of a lock-up, but nothing too severe. We try and get a good exit, have a bit of a snap, and using the push to pass. I saw Tony was using his as well, so I decided to turn mine off. I wasn't going to go for a move on this occasion. But heading down into the braking zone, I had to look down the inside, more so to try and put Tony off, and I end up getting it all kinds of wrong, running into the side of the number 21 and losing both of us a lot of time. So 100% my fault on that occasion. Apologised to Tony after the race, and he seemed fairly understanding that there wasn't too much damage done to either of our races, and thankfully he didn't end up reporting that. So all good between the two of us. Ended up catching back up again and going to try and make a cleaner move on this occasion. Again into the keyhole, Tony locking up, but we weren't on the right line to try and get a switch back done and get the move done down the straight. And this time into turn 4, definitely too far back to even have a look at making a move, so we both make it through nice and safely. We're into turn 5, I have a look around the outside, into turn 6, just not far enough alongside, and Tony holds on to that position. Lap 12 now. I think this is the second last lap of the race, so run out of time to get this move done. Through the keyhole, definitely my strongest corner on this track. We get a good exit, push the pass on, and this time going to try and make a safer move. We don't have the inside line, so we go to the outside and we brake nice and late, just like we did in one of the previous races. Carry the speed, have the inside line for turn 5, and we get that move done up into P12. And that was all that happened for the rest of this race then. Coming through the final section of the carousel for the final time. Going to come across the line and finish race 3 in P12. So it was P12 then in the end. Somehow after the opening laps that we had, only one place down from where I started and 48 seconds off Dylan McClemens, who won the race, which isn't too bad of a result, but when you look at how things could have went without that incident on lap 2, definitely could have had a better result here today. And what that means for the championship after round 5 here in Mid-Ohio is that I move up one place, overtaking Emma into position 13, 124 points, just behind Wayne Douglas, and still very tight around the back end of the top 10 here in the RTA IndyCar series. But that is it for this one. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss any more videos. The next race is at the Long Beach Street Circuit, so looking forward to that one. Definitely going to be a racer survival, I reckon. So yeah, hopefully I can be one of the ones that does survive and get a few good results. But until then, thanks for watching. See you then.